So today's lesson came courtesy of my ski boots. So we are a family who really loves to go on a ski holiday. That's our holiday of choice, and we probably go every 2 years. And it's always nice to get out of the heat of home. So we go with comfort. So what that means that we've bought our ski boots, because if anyone's ever spent extended periods of time in ski boots, you'll know just how uncomfortable they can become. So we've always bought our ski boots, stored them in North Queensland, and then brought them with us on our trips. So this happened to me 10 years ago when I bought my current boots. And so what had happened was I'd stored them obviously at home and just away in the cupboard, inspected them before we came away on our trip, and then they all looked fine. My husband got new boots because his had got a bit crumbly and old, but mine I thought were fine. Got all the way here to the village in Austria, got our skis, which we hire each year, and made our way to the top of the mountain. Then I stood at the top of the mountain and stepped into my skis, except I couldn't step into my skis because the entire heel of my ski boot had crumbled as I got to the top of the mountain. So obviously not what you expect to have happen to you at the top of the mountain. Certainly wasn't a welcome thing to have happen, but I guess it kicks into that old phrasing that I often use, which is not so much what happens to you, but it's what you do with it that counts. And so it was at that moment I had to decide, well, my first thought was that I was going to be getting back into the gondola and going to the bottom and hiring some boots, but it turned out it was actually just the heel of the boot that had disintegrated, so I was able to still clip the boots in. I wasn't overly confident in how long they were going to last, but I thought, well, they should at least get me down to the bottom of this first run. I'll take it really carefully, which I did because it was my very first run of the day. Got ourselves down and then went in, and with some choice words from the fellow in the lift, he did agree that it was time to send my poor old boots to the bin. So what does this tap into? It taps into, and in this instance, it's an equipment issue. So it might be equipment, you might be a presenter, and it might be about your computer or your HDMI cables. You might be a swimmer, it might be about your goggles. You might be a runner, it might be about, I once had an athlete who arrived at an event and only to find that her running blocks that she'd taken with her, specially set up, had gone away with the bus. No one had collected those. She was an official, so she'd asked someone to pick them up for her, and they hadn't. So it could be that you turn up at an event, you know that it's going to be a beautiful sunny day and it's pouring with rain. It could be that you're a triathlete and, oh look, I can see the hang glider above my head. It could be that you are a triathlete and your bike tubes, go. I once did a team event with some friends. I was the cyclist and blew 3 tyres, all in 3 tubes, all in one race. Now you're not surprised in a triathlon when you lose one. Losing 3 was a little more than I was expecting. So 2 things here is, first of all, where you can, plan for the adversities. What are the things in the situation that you're preparing for, whether it be something work related, whether it be something sport related, whatever the thing is that you might be doing, or something recreational like we were doing this morning. What is it that could go wrong? So that's not assuming the worst, but it's planning for it, and it's making sure that you've got some strategies and things in place to deal with those things when they do happen. Now, of course, I probably could have anticipated that at some point my boots were going to fail. That's what happened to me 10 years ago. I stepped out of a warm, cosy cafe at lunchtime, stepped into the snow, and then wondered why my foot felt so cold, because my entire boot had disintegrated out from under me. So you can expect that these things can happen at times. Other things might take you by surprise. So again, it's not so much what happens to you, it's what you do with it that's important. Working out some sort of contingency, how you might plan for it, is important. If it's something that you haven't possibly planned for, trust yourself that you'll find a solution going through. But I have found for many athletes and for many teams, anticipating adversity is really well. It works in really nicely with that fortunately, unfortunately strategy that some of you might have heard me talk about before. I've certainly written about it in my next book that's coming through, the fortunately, unfortunately strategy, which can really help you to navigate through terrain when things don't go well. So I hope that gives you something to think about. I'm pleased to say that my poor old boots have been surrendered to boot heaven, wherever that might be. And not only did I manage to hire a new pair of boots, they're a try before you buy, and they're a brand new pair of boots, so they were pretty comfortable today. So it may all work out for the better. I don't know if I'm going to buy another pair of boots. I don't know if they survive North Queensland all that well, but we'll see. We'll see by the end of the trip what I decide to do. So I'm going to hop inside now because it's pretty cold out here on this balcony. I'm on the balcony where we're staying. You can see the beautiful church there in the town that we're in. We're in the little village of Hofgarten in Austria. Quite a nostalgic place for us to be. This is actually the place where my husband and I learnt to ski in the early 90s. We were on a Kentucky trip way back then. We're certainly not on a Kentucky trip now. Far too old for that. The fact that our teenagers are with us and they're old enough to be on a Kentucky trip really feels like we've gone full circle with this one. Beautiful little village, just as beautiful as I remember it. And we've had a great day on the snow. But as always, there's a lesson to be learned. And I'll post a photo down in the comments of the underside of my boot so you can see exactly what I was faced with first run of the day today.